Welcome back, folks. Sport Federation TV. And of course, if you watched us last week, you would have seen we were talking about shooting. They've got an event coming up. If you watched us a few months ago, you also would have seen we had the chairperson of Western Cape SASCO, which is the Shooting South Africa organization, on the Karina de Beer, the president there, talking to us about shooting. And of course, we know her as well as a international champion for black powder shooting. But back with us now, Hishaam Ali, the chairperson of Practical Shooting. And so we are going to talk about practical shooting now, and along with yourself and me, we're also going to get a little bit of an education. But back on Sport Federation TV, the chairperson of Western Province Practical Shooting, Hishaam Ali. Hishaam, welcome back. How are you?
Thanks, JP. Thanks to be here.
Hishaam, we haven't spoken to you for a while. Practical shooting. I think for the viewers there, last week we were talking also about pistol shooting, but just give us a rundown. Practical shooting. I mean, as you heard me say, that we spoke to Karina de Beer, who's been on the show, about black powder shooting, and there's so many different shooting codes. Just give us an understanding of what is practical shooting.
Okay, so practical shooting falls under the IPSC, the International Practical Shooting Confederation. It's a worldwide organization. We basically have a world shoot event every 2 to 3 years. I think it's been reduced from 4 years to 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. And the sporting code that we do is handgun, shotgun, rifle, practical carbine, which is basically a shortened version of a semi-auto rifle. And so those are the various types of firearms that we shoot in our sporting code. So just basically, practical shooting is where a particular scenario is put up. That scenario could be, for instance, you're sitting on a bicycle, right, and you've got to engage with 2 or 3 targets. You could be in a environment where, in a building environment, you've got windows, you've got doors, you've got vehicles, you've got to exit a vehicle. You could stay in a vehicle. So these are the types of scenarios or challenges that is put to you. You then have to attempt these challenges, shooting at particular targets. It could be moving targets. It could be standalone targets. It could be targets that's covered with a hostage, and you have to engage these targets in the best possible time and in the best possible score.
Well, I'm just wondering, I mean, do all of the athletes that are competing with you, do they compete in all of the different disciplines? Or do you get to pick the discipline that you want? Because it sounds to me that if you want to participate in all of the disciplines, you need to have a handgun, a shotgun, a rifle, a whole bunch of weapons.
That's correct. Well, you would shoot different disciplines on different days.
Okay.
For instance, coming Saturday, in fact tomorrow, the 21st of August, we're actually having a handgun match.
Okay.
It's taking place in Scottish Kloof in Cape Town on Signal Hill. There's a quarry up there.
You're still up there.
Make use of that quarry.
You're still competing there. Yeah.
And fortunately, it's in a quarry, and so the decibels are low. And
yes,
there, for instance, a handgun match is taking place. You've got different scenarios there. You could find a situation, and why we call it practical. Let's get to the word practical, JP. And the reason why we use the word practical, it is your own firearm that you carry. It is not. You can get into the specialized weapons and things like that, but effectively, 9 out of 10 times it is the firearm that you carry. Generally, it is semi-auto handguns because it carries up to 15 rounds. And the idea is that for instance, tomorrow we have a particular stage where you can only shoot it with your strong hand, effectively one hand. Uh,
Right.
the reason for that is that you might have an injury on your left hand, or your weak hand, or you
Yes.
might be carrying your satchel, or your haversack, or your briefcase in your left hand. Um, it could be in the reverse. You could be injured on your right hand, and you could have something that you're carrying in your right hand, or your strong hand, and you need to use your weak hand. Um, there could be scenarios where you need to exit your vehicle. There could be scenarios where you are sitting in your vehicle, open up the door. You need to actually engage and go via a door, and you need to exit the door, um, or engage through a window.
Yeah.
So these are the type of stages that set up for you. You could even go up and down steps for that matter.
So you're talking about elements really that are designed to be practical of nature, where you're putting on an event that is as realistic as possible, if I understand it correctly. But how do you decide? I mean, do you guys get together as an executive committee, or do you have specific individuals that are geared to call it the event plan? Because it sounds to me, of course, that you're creating different scenarios that people would have to be able to adapt to.
Yes, so for instance, let's talk about the levels. We've got 5 levels. Level 1 would be a club shoot. Level 2 would be a provincial match. Level 3 would be a national match where all 9 provinces comes together. Level 4 will be a continental match. So for instance, African continent will have an African continental match.
Yeah,
You might
yeah.
have a North a European, or you could have a Far East Asian one. And that is what actually, and then we've got the level 5, which is the world shoot. So what actually happens is, um, imagine on a particular Saturday, we've got worldwide about 55,000 members worldwide. 55,000 members is shooting a minimum of 100 rounds on that particular Saturday worldwide. I'm not even including events where there's
Yeah,
a minimum shot count of 150.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we are massive, massive. If just trying to, if you try and imagine the type of scenarios that's put forward to you, can you identify with the amount of safety that needs
Yeah.
to go, and the safety and the planning and the vetting that needs to go into something like this? So what happens a month before the time? A shoot committee comes together. They design particular scenarios that is, then gets vetted to establish whether that type of scenario would work on a particular stage. We then go and build that stage a month later, and the vetters go out to establish whether that stage is now, i- whether it meets all the safety requirements.
Okay,
So your
okay.
backstop, your side burrs are 8 meters high. Your to prevent any shootovers. And once the vetters are happy with the fact that this type of stage that has been set complies with all the necessary safety
Yeah.
standards, the shoot will go ahead.
Hisham, so tomorrow, of course, Saturday, um, in Kloof, which I tend to think of as SK. Where, how many athletes are you expecting there tomorrow? I'm assuming also if people want
We
to.
generally have between 80 to 100 athletes, but because of the level 3 and the quota, we've had to implement the quota, and we're at 60.
And if you do well there tomorrow, are you able to go compete at the national event or another event after this?
Yes, as a provincial match,
Yeah,
you need to qualify at the provincial match to enable your province to send you to a national event
yeah,
to
yeah.
represent your province at that national event. Likewise, again, at the national event, you need to perform top 4 to represent your country at the World Shoot.
And if somebody wants to join to get involved with practical shooting, what's the best way to get involved?
Well, the best way to get involved is to log on to our website and drop us a message.
So if people go to the website, which I've got on the bottom here, wppsa.co.za, they can find your contact details there and find out how to find a club close to you.
100%.
Yeah. Hishaam, fantastic chatting with you again. We'll leave it at that. We're looking forward then to get the results and photographs and videos and any other anything else you want to send us so that we can keep showcasing Western Province practical shooting, and we look forward to yeah, like I say, showcasing the sport and showcasing the athletes, and and just, I suppose, well done for keeping the wheel turning under these difficult conditions.
Yeah, thanks, JP, and thanks for this opportunity. And we'll forward the Sport Federation TV some videos.
Absolutely, and you guys can get back on TV with us and talk us through it, so to speak. Good luck for tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
There we go, folks. Hishaam Ali is the president of Western Province Practical Shooting, and I love finding out the practical, the real life information, and of course we're so thrilled to see that the sport continues to be so successful in the province. Folks, we'll take a break. When we come back from the break, we carry on talking about sport in the Western Cape. Back in a sec.